what ends up in the oral cavity right here in your mouth is I'm going to write it down, right? My carbohydrates, my polysaccharides, my proteins, the polypeptides, and the lipids, the fats, right? So that they end up here. So let's make a table right here.
Let's
So
not.
oral cavity. And I'm going to write mechanical digestion, chemical digestion. Is there mechanical digestion going on in the mouth for your carbs?
Yes.
Yes.
Yes. Check for proteins?
Yes.
Yes. And even for fats, right?
Yes.
Because of your teeth, right? So the teeth is the accessory organ that helps in mechanical digestion, and that process is called mastication. I hope you understand this term. Mastication means chewing, and it involves coordinated skeletal muscle movement, so that you accomplish the mechanical digestion of your carbs, your proteins, and your fats. Is there chemical digestion going on in your mouth?
Yes.
Yes, with your saliva.
Because of the saliva secreted by it's called salivary glands, right? You have it right here in your parotid glands, your submandibular, and your sublingual glands. And look at the composition of saliva. Saliva is mainly water, okay? And look at what it contains. It contains this enzyme. Is there any other enzyme that you see here? No more, right? So in your mouth, you already accomplished, or you're having the initial chemical digestion for carbs. So the combined effect of mastication plus mixing of saliva with the food promotes the breakdown of this one, so that by the time you swallow it, the food that you swallow does not look like the food that you put in your mouth anymore, right? So mastication plus mixing of saliva with your food produces what you call a bolus. What's the composition of this bolus? It contains already individual glucose. This is why for they say one of the secrets for losing weight, isn't it, to chew your food longer? Because when you chew your food longer, the carbs are being acted on by the amylase in my saliva to break down the glucose, which then goes to your brain, and you get tricked. Your brain is happy. Your brain has the satiety center in your hypothalamus. Then you feel full. You're done eating at a shorter period of time. That's the main reason behind that one, okay? And this one, because of this amylase, you should do this experiment. I just have stale crackers, so I used to give students crackers. And what you need to do, don't do anything. So do experiment at home. Buy saltines or any kind of cracker, just let it sit in your mouth. After a while, it will start tasting sweet because of the carbs in there, because you have amylase. Then you drink a glass of water, then you go to your next experiment. Put the chicken in your mouth. Then go to bed. When you wake up, it's still there, right? Don't do that. But you know, it's because you don't have any enzyme that will break down the proteins or the fats in your mouth. Nothing. The book says that there's lingual lipase, very, very small. So we're going to disregard that, so that it will be easy for us to study also. So for our purposes, mouth is chemical digestion only of what? Carbs, because there's amylase. There's other advantages to the mouth. Look at, the mouth contains bicarb, which buffers we know we always have bacteria in our mouth, right? This is why the Arm& Hammer toothpaste is very good. You know, when we sleep, when we go to bed, do you agree? The secretion of saliva goes down also when we sleep. When we're awake, our saliva goes up because we eat, we talk, there's secretion of saliva. But when you're asleep, it goes down. because then there's nothing that will buffer the bacteria. You wake up with bad breath. That's the reason. And this is why the baking soda, like at home we just dip our toothpaste, our toothbrush in baking soda, and you should try that. When you wake up in the morning, you don't have that bad breath uh, compared to if you just use the regular toothpaste. So try doing that, and that's the reason. You want to buffer the bacterial acids in there. Okay? It also contains this lysozyme and immunoglobulin A. Remember we talked about licking our wounds? No, the dogs licking their wounds because they have this. You also have that to protect you from any kind of, because this is the one that you do you do the 3 second rule? Something drops, oh, not even 3 seconds, you put in your mouth. With the kids, they do that. I do that too. So because I'm always hoping that I have enough of this one to take care. Besides, when it lands in my stomach, it's acidic. Okay? So you understand this one? You understand the composition of your saliva. So we put in our mouth, automatic, there's mastication going on. There's chemical digestion of the carbs. And so as I swallow, I am swallowing bolus. You understand what bolus means, right? Swallowing, called deglutition, deglutition, is a coordinated muscular activity also. So when we swallow, what are the different cavities that we need to close? We want to make sure that when we swallow, it goes down the pharynx or the throat, right? So I'm thinking, I need to close my oral cavity, right? When I swallow, I don't want the food to go out that way. So I need to close the oral cavity. I'm thinking I also have to close the nasal cavity, the nose. You ever done that? Sometimes it goes up to you, so you don't, and you want to close the epiglottis, the airway, respiratory cavity. So those are the three cavities we need to close. And this is why it's very important, swallowing is a coordinated activity to make sure all those three cavities are closed. How do you close the oral cavity? Try to swallow now. Your tongue goes up to the roof, right? The hard palate. So the tongue closes the oral cavity. So the food goes down, goes to the back. I'm sorry. What closes the nasal cavity? I know you know of the uvula, right? The uvula, right here.
Your little hangy down thing.
The little what?
Hangy down thing.
That's the one. Yes, the uvula brushes up to seal the nasal cavity. And then finally, your larynx. Remember, the larynx folds what? Backwards and downwards. It folds backwards and downwards to make sure that the food goes down the pharynx during deglutition. The next areas, parts of the GI tract that your bolus will go through or pass through are the pharynx and the esophagus. These two regions of the digestive system are just actually muscular passageways. There is no mechanical digestion or chemical digestion going on in here. What they do is they just connect the next main area called the stomach with the oral cavity where you put your food, because there's something in the way, your heart and your lungs, right? So to connect them, you have the pharynx and the esophagus. So what is going on there? Just peristalsis, movement of the food down. So you see, look at this one. As the food reaches this sphincter, you remember sphincter is the area of increased muscle tone. So this is the esophagus and this is the stomach. There's a sphincter here. The bolus, once it reaches here, it triggers a reflex reaction. It's all reflexes. Okay? So when the bolus reaches here, it irritates the sphincter here, which results in reflex relaxation of the sphincter. It relaxes, meaning you stretch the sphincter, then it contracts. But at the point where it relaxes, the bolus moves from here to here. Then it contracts to close it again. These sphincters, by the way, are very, very strong. Now you're going to do another experiment. You want to do a headstand. I used to have a volunteer here do a headstand, and I have a glass of water here, and I have the volunteer to drink and swallow. There will be no reflux or regurgitation of whatever you swallow. That's how strong the sphincters are. Okay? So now the bolus is no longer here, it landed here. So this will be the beginning of our lecture on Wednesday. So now I want you to use the rest of the time period to finish up